I'm R.J. Nestor, productivity coach and founder of the Action-Powered Productivity Community. And in this video, I'm going to share one of my core philosophies of productivity, and that is this mantra, always start in the middle. What if every bit of work we did were half done, or even more than half done, when we started? That's the core idea behind always start in the middle. This little the thing that's always poking me when I'm looking at the work that I do is, how could I have done that more efficiently? How could I have started more in the middle? And here are some possibilities around that. I could build an automation for work now so that I can start in the middle of that email that I send 47 times a week, or that happy birthday wish that I send to 6 people on Facebook every day. And when we say automation, it doesn't mean that everything has to be exactly the same. The email may vary a little bit. Obviously, it's probably sent to different people each time I send it. So I accommodate that in the automation. Obviously, a happy birthday wish isn't much of a happy birthday wish if it's literally the same text every single time to people. But if I make the process of getting in there to send these wishes to the people that I care about easier, I automate the getting in there, I automate maybe a little bit of the language, it makes it more likely that I'll do it. And so by starting in the middle, not only do we make our work faster and more efficient, or more accurate, or higher quality, but we also make it more likely that we'll do it. So those things that I want to do, I want to start in the middle. If I have an email I send 47 times a week and I'm not automating that, I'm missing an opportunity to quite literally save hours or maybe weeks every year, because it might only take 3 minutes to type that email once. But if you're saving that 3 minutes, you're turning that into 10 seconds every time you send it. And you do it, I made up the number 47, but you get the idea. You do it 50 times a week and you save 3 minutes every time you do it. You've already saved 2.5 hours every single week. Multiply by 52 and you'll see the point that I'm making. This is where real power comes from, the always start in the middle. I can create an agenda now so that when I arrive tomorrow, I'm starting in the middle of tomorrow. And that's not a blood oath. What I plan now doesn't have to be exactly what I do tomorrow. Maybe new information has arrived by tomorrow. Maybe my mindset is just completely different and I want to focus on something else. That's totally fine. But I'm much better served and I am much more likely to do work that is of value to me if I arrive at tomorrow with some sense of what I had intended to do. So I can build that agenda which starts me in the middle of tomorrow. I can create a template now, so I can start in the middle of that project that I have the next time it comes around. An example might be my Weekend Upgrade newsletter. I have a template in Tana that I use every time I'm going to start a newsletter. It's bi-weekly, so 10 days before, I have a task that's always going to arrive predictably. And they go from there. I have several tasks that line me up from the 10 days before to the release of the newsletter. And they're going to be the same. If I capture that, setting up the project for the newsletter and then working within it is way, way, way easier and saves me a ton of time. I'm a music director at a church, so I create the worship aids, the little guides that the parishioners follow along with has the music and such in it. When I create that worship aid, I have a template in InDesign. So when I arrive at that work, a ton of it is already done. I'm quite literally saving 45 minutes a week with not just that template, but the entire flow around the creation of my worship aids. The template is the primary saver, though. I'm saving 45 minutes a week, multiplied by 52. That's 39 hours a year. That's a work week with one template, because I'm starting in the middle every time I arrive there. I can determine strategies now, so I can start in the middle of my trek toward the particular goal, rather than fumbling around at square one. Anytime I can start in the middle, whatever that work may be, I want to start in the middle. Now you may ask, how does one do that exactly? Are we usually just restricted to starting at the beginning of things? As the song, I'm a musical theater guy, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Well, I'm sorry, Fräulein Maria, but it's not a very good place to start a lot of the time. Where we want to start is in the middle. Now, sometimes we have to start at the beginning. We're doing something for the first time. Something has to be first. We have to start somewhere. The more we build our systems, the more we understand the flow of our work, the less we'll start from absolute scratch. Because we may not know how to do this exact work, but we have the system built to know how to start on it. We may not know how I'm going to paint this particular painting, but I know how to get the canvas ready, and I know how to mix the paints on my palette. To be clear, I don't know how to do that. But metaphorically, a painter knows how to do that. So they're not starting from scratch. They know how to do the processes to get ready to engage with the work. So even first-time work, we can have systematic structures that help keep us from starting from scratch. But beyond that, once we've encountered a certain type of work, each time we do it again, we should be starting closer and closer to the middle, or beyond to the metaphor of the middle, could be 60 or 70 or 80%. And each time we do it, we can continue to improve that. And I want to address one thing that people, when I talk about this, people hear me saying, oh, well, he wants everything to be automated and nothing to be novel and everything to be boring and bland and robotic. Why not just have ChatGPT do everything? Let me tell you what. When you capture the recurrence, the things that repeat as a way of starting in the middle, then you can focus your attention on the parts that are new, on the parts that do require your focus and your attention in order to be creative, in order to be fresh, in order to get the depth of work done that you want to get done. Because otherwise, if you're starting from scratch every time, you're wasting all your time and effort on the stuff that doesn't matter, on just getting started. When we start in the middle, we get rid of that stuff and we can focus on the part that is the creative part, that is the novel part, that is the part that nourishes us. That's the promise of always start in the middle. And we do that. We do our starting in the middle. We make continued improvements to our workflows and access the middle using what I call productivity bridges. And I'm going to define them in more detail in another video, but let me say this much. Bridging is an action you take now. You build a bridge now in order to increase the speed, the accuracy, or the quality of future work. So it's an investment. I do a little work now. I build this bridge to improve my future work. And a bridge might be a template or an automation. It might be a list or a link to materials or resources you need to do work. It might be an agenda, as I mentioned. It might be a strategy. It might be routines or procedures. There are a lot of forms a bridge might take, but the recognition that you want to build a bridge to start in the middle of work is the first step. And if you can do that, if you can look at the processes and the work that you do and say, how can I be closer to the middle the next time I start this work, that in itself will go a long way toward making your life and your work more manageable. You'll get more done. You'll spend less time and effort doing it. And when you spend less time and effort doing that, you can take that time and effort and put it into your loved ones or traveling more or reinvest it in more work if you prefer. But the key is you have options. You can do more when you always start in the middle.